it's Em. Welcome back to my channel. Something that I meant to do in last week's video but definitely did not do was my May reading wrap up. But before we get into that, this video really is focusing on reading my TBR, as all of my upcoming videos are going to be until I get through my 80 book physical TBR. So this week's goal is to get through all of the book of the month books that I have not read before my next book of the month subscription arrives. I've already placed my order. It normally takes 12 business days to get here. It gets here definitely before half of the month is over, so we're on a time crunch to get these books read. I have 4 book of the month books, 2 of which I ordered, 2 were gifts, but I'm counting the gifts to just get them read because the whole goal is to just read the TBR. We gotta get through the TBR cart. As of right now, when I'm filming this, I'm currently reading one of my book of the month books. That would have been book of the month book 5, The Bombshell by Darrow Farr. Loving that so much, and I'm so excited for the Silver Elite as well. Both of those were part of my May book of the month box. But anyways, let's get into our May reading wrap up. There are quite a few books in May, and that's because May was the last month of my 100 books in 100 days challenge. If you do not know what that is or have no idea that I did that challenge and want to check it out, all of my socials have daily updates, and I've done a couple updates on my YouTube channel as well. My socials are linked in the description box below, or you can check out my YouTube shorts. They're uploaded there as well. I wasn't sure to count this one because I started it on April 30th but finished it May 1st. I'm gonna try and go in order of when I read them, but I read A Double Life by Flynn Barry. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it was just a run-of-the-mill murder solve. I think that the relationships were not developed enough for me to feel that there were stakes in this book. And when there are not stakes, I don't thoroughly enjoy it. Would I read this again? No. But did I like it enough to keep reading it? Yes, which is why I rated it a 3 stars. I feel like my 3-star rating is so incredibly vague and on a spectrum. Like the low end of 3 is I got through it, would maybe recommend it for the right reader, and then high 3 is that was good. Nothing wrong with it. It's a spectrum. I also read Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I listened to this on audiobook, and honestly, Ali Hazelwood's novellas are not my style at all. Those stakes are usually so low and everything moves so fast that just the timeline and relationship-wise, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I feel like I need to give Ali Hazelwood another chance. Then I read Flower Crowns and Fearsome Things by Amanda Lovelace. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think that the illustrations greatly contributed to that rating because they're beautiful. Now it just alternates between those two illustrations, but I just think they're gorgeous, and I actually related to quite a few of these poems. I was very pleased. Poetry's not entirely my thing, so when I do read poetry that I'm like, oh yeah, it's good. I give high ratings. To save time, I'm gonna clump all this. I read The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess volumes 2 through 11. I think my overall rating for the series was like a 4.5. I loved this series. This manga absolutely blew me away, especially considering that it came after the video game. And this is my favorite Zelda game in the Zelda series. I absolutely love this game. So when the book just went even deeper into some of the history and lore, I was obsessed. I then read The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clark. I rated this like a 3.8 out of 5 stars. It was a 30-minute audiobook, so it couldn't have been more than maybe 15-20 pages. It was so short. But I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was whimsical. There wasn't much to it. Nothing more to say. I also read The Dagger in the Desk by Jonathan Stroud. This is the Lockwood & Co. novella, and if you know me, you know I am obsessed with Lockwood & Co. I love this series. I just discovered it this year thanks to my best friend. Lit Pins & Co. is doing a collaboration with Jonathan Stroud to do special edition releases of this series, and I bought myself a set, and I also bought my best friend a set for her birthday and for Christmas. If she doesn't know about it yet, then I'm going to tell her not to watch this video. Otherwise, she already knows. They release in October, and there's going to be special sleeves, covers, art inserts. I'm so excited. I don't know how many they have left, but everyone should go check that out if you like Lockwood & Co. Then I read Fireheart Tiger by Aliette de Bodard. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. I apologize. Not really my thing. I think I rated this like a 2.7. It was fine. It was a political, historical short story. I don't really have much to say on it, to be perfectly honest. Okay, this is a little out of order because I didn't read this entire series back to back, but we're just gonna clump them all together. I read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I rated the first book a 4-star, the second book a 4-star, and I think I rated the third book a 3-star. Shout out to my pen pal Emma. She is just incredible. She saw my video saying that I had these two and couldn't find this one in paperback and sent it to me because she is the most amazing, sweetest human being on the planet Earth. Y'all are lucky if you have friends like Emma. I actually really enjoyed this series. I think I liked this more than Caraval, although this book, the last one, really threw me for a loop. I didn't enjoy it as much. And I was kind of upset about that because these two, I was like, I have to know what happens next. I gotta read the next book. I like these more than Caraval. I appreciate that they are in the same universe so that we revisit some characters and get to see beloved characters in this series. I was told to read this one first and then Caraval, and I did not listen to that. I just read Caraval first, and I'm glad I did it. I don't see why people are telling me you had to read this one first. Someone could explain that to me, that'd be great. But I thought I got just as much enjoyment out of reading this after Caraval than I would have if I read it before Caraval. Especially since chronologically, this happens afterwards. Then I read All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first book in the Murderbot Diaries series. It has such high ratings on Goodreads and everybody was raving about it, but I thought it was just okay. Maybe it's because sci-fi is not my primary genre. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I didn't have any problems with it either. I rated it a 3 stars. And then I read these two books and I rated both of these a 5 stars. However, this, if I could, just to compare, this would be a 6 star because that's how amazing it was. So I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping. I am obsessed with the Hunger Games. I have been since I was in middle school, and it felt so good to revisit that feeling of wanting to devour a book. I haven't felt that way in so long. The need to just like inhale what I am reading in one sitting. And honestly, the Hunger Games really changed reading for me in middle school. I just was constantly reading books after that. It just really felt great to revisit this world. I loved Lucy Gray in this one, and I think what really made this book interesting was we got to see the quote-unquote humanity or lack thereof in Snow. So also, I didn't know how to pronounce his name for the longest time until I finally watched the movie. Coriolanus? What the heck? That's a mouthful. I'm gonna be honest, when I was reading this before I saw the movie, I just pronounced it Cornelius. I tried sounding it out, but I read so fast. My brain just decided it was going to be Cornelius until I figured out how to pronounce it. But then this book, oh my goodness, just the fact that we revisit and get to see all of our favorite characters from the original Hunger Games trilogy put in this situation themselves and how they deal with it. And the fact that Haymitch is mentored by Mags and Wyrus and is influenced by Beetee, it just really put a different perspective for me on the original trilogy and how those relationships affect one another. I just can't speak highly enough of this series. It just felt so good to go back. I do wish that The Hunger Games was a series I could erase from my memory so that I could reread again for the first time. Then I read Sanctuary by Paola Mendoza and Abby Sher, and I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was honestly so incredibly good in the sense that it speaks to a lot of what we are dealing with today. So it is pretty depressing to read about, but it is so inspiring and empowering, the writing style and what our characters go through. There's just so much truth and vulnerability in this. I picked this up from the library not really knowing what it was about. I highly recommend this book to everyone. Go read this. Great writing, great plot, and has a lot of meaning to today. Actually, before I put this away, this is dystopian and I did read this in one sitting. So if that tells you anything about whether or not you should read it, go read it. Then I read Confessions of a Grammar Queen by Eliza Knight. I received this as an ARC from Powell's Books, and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was good. It kind of felt like the whole story got tied off with a pretty pink bow, so it was a little too perfect at the end how everything worked out, especially considering that this is a book regarding a woman in the 1960s trying to make it in publishing, and she really wants to be the CEO of this publishing company, and she manages to make it happen, but she also gets the guy, becomes famous, she gets the dream job within a year, and of course, like, she fights for it. And she has all of this involvement in fighting for women's rights in the workplace, but just as an overall, like, she got what she deserved, absolutely. It just didn't feel realistic. if that makes sense. I feel like if she just lost something, the reward would have been even greater. Then I read Dead Poet Society by N.H. Kleinbaum, and I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. I have never read this before, and I had never seen the film before. I still haven't seen the film as of today. One thing I did not know was that the movie came first. I had no idea, but it makes sense since I could never find a different copy without the actors on the cover, and it clicked once I realized that fact. But even with the movie coming first, I thought that the book was so well written. I can't say whether or not the plot was properly adapted to writing, but I assume it was. It was very good. It's heart-wrenching at the end. I definitely cried a little bit. I absolutely loved this. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and it has spiraled into an obsession for Taylor Jenkins Reid. I absolutely love her writing. This story was so good. I read this in one sitting as well. It was just so raw and crunchy, and there were so many interpersonal relationships that blended and conflicted, and I just love it when that happens. My one qualm, and it doesn't have to do with the book, but my one qualm is the TV show adaptation and the soundtrack. The way that her voice is described in this book is very raspy and raw. But when I listened to the soundtrack, it was very clean and auto-tuned, and I wasn't a fan of that. It gave it this modern pop vibe that you don't necessarily get in the 1960s pop or rock. So I was kind of upset about that. And then when I looked at the synopsis for the TV show, they changed some of my favorite parts of this book. They altered Billy's story enough to make him a little bit more lovable, I think. I mean, I don't know what their approach was, but for me, how I interpreted it was the show was trying to make Billy more lovable and more redeemable, but here he's just so human. He's done wrong. He's made so many mistakes over and over and over again, and he's this stuck-up, arrogant musician. But that's what makes this book so incredibly good. So when in the TV show that wasn't really put across in the synopsis. Again, I haven't seen the show. This is just from the Wikipedia synopsis. But just from what I saw and read on Wikipedia, I have personally decided I don't think I'm going to go watch this show because I love how my brain interpreted this book, that I'm okay not knowing how somebody else's brain interpreted it right now. And then I picked up The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid because I am obsessed with this author, as I just mentioned. And this honestly blew me away because it was not at all what I expected. If you have never read this, this is about Evelyn Hugo, a golden age classics actress, and it's kind of her memoir in a way, but there are so many juicy details in here and parts of her life that were kept hidden and secret, and this is her opportunity to tell everybody her life story as it truly was versus how she made it look during her youth and as she was on the big screen. I cannot recommend Taylor Jenkins Reid enough. And these are the only 2 books that I've read. I'm about to go on a Taylor Jenkins Reid spree once I finish my physical TBR, because that's the goal here. We gotta finish. I'm pointing over here. This is where my TBR card sits, on that side of the camera. That is everything that I read in the month of May. I am, first of all, so glad that the 100 books in 100 days challenge is over, because now I can really enjoy my mood reads and not feel like, oh, I just need to check off a list. I am very pleased with the books that I read in May. There were a lot of 5 stars in there, and I'm honestly, what more could a reader girl ask for? You know what I'm saying? Alrighty, now that we have completed our May reading wrap up, let's start reading our TBR card. I am currently reading The Bombshell by Darrow Farr. I'm about 70% of the way through, and I'm really enjoying this. I think I'm gonna finish this tonight. At least I'm hoping so. And then the next one that I want to pick up after that is Silver Elite by Danny Francis. I want to know what people are saying about this because this currently is being predicted to be a top dystopian novel right now. I'm so excited. Also sprayed edges. I show this every time. Every time I show this book on camera, I'm like, sprayed edges. Enjoy them with me. It's beautiful. Okay, so I finished The Bombshell by Darrow Farr, and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. I would definitely recommend this. It's about this teenage girl who gets kidnapped by this small revolutionary group that is trying to create autonomy and independence for this really, really small island in France. She ends up joining the group, and it does sometimes give this like Stockholm syndrome vibes, but it's also like teenage boredom leads to revolution. But then the ending was kind of disappointing because of how this was set up. And overall, I really liked it, but there was just a little something missing to just make it a 5-star. And now I'm feeling like getting into Silver Elite by Dani Francis. Honestly, what most intrigues me about this book, and I've said this before, is the ongoing theory of who this author is. There's talk around town that this is a pen name and that the author is hiding behind this pen name and that is a famous author. So I have no idea. But I do know that this is a dystopian romance, and honestly, after what I just read, I could use a different type of romance. Hopefully this is, in fact, different. The other option that I do have is The Passion Project by London Sperry. This was the this was the April book of the month pick, but after starting Flawless by Elsie Silver, I just don't know if I'm feeling a romance. I feel like maybe Flawless is different and I'm just not in the mood for that one, so I could honestly get into Passion Project next as well. Yeah, these are the next ones. I just don't know which one I wanna read right this minute. I was so set on this one, but then I was like, wait, it could be similar to what I just read because dystopian, romance, I'll get back to you. You'll find out based off of how this vlog goes. Okay, so remember how I wanted to read all of my remaining book of the month books before my next package arrived? Well, I just got the email saying that it's gonna be here June 6th or through 9th. Today is June 2nd. That's 4 to 7 days. And these are not small books. This is not like my 100 books challenge where some of them are super tiny, like The Perks of Being a Wallflower. No, these are not novellas. These are massive books. Also, I am currently reading Passion Project, as you guys know, and I'm on page 85. And honestly, the main character is such an annoying... I understand she has anxiety, and I understand that anxiety can be super hindering, but she is literally like, no, why would you ever want to hang out with me? Couldn't possibly. Like, girl, she needs to turn it around fast, otherwise I'm gonna be so annoyed with our main character that I won't be able to finish this book. If by page 150 she has not started to show that she can make a character arc and turn it around, this will be a DNF. I think that's what I've decided. The premise of this is to find her passion, and in the midst of that she finds love, but girl is starting from ground -20. Like, we're not even at ground zero working our way up. Like, she purposefully does not hang out with people. She purposely does not put herself out there. She works temp jobs and has all these opportunities to try different things, meet new people, experience something else. And I get that it's work and going in with that perspective can make it boring, but like, girl, you do so many different things and you still haven't found a single thing that you like. I'm also trying to figure out what's going on with the dead ex-boyfriend and how that contributes to the anxiety, because I feel like that's the major trigger here, and yet I haven't figured out why that's the major trigger. The cover is so cute, but this girl, if this is our main character, this is not who we're reading about. No, I picture this girl as somebody who sits in oversized hoodies and sweatpants all day, and her hair is always like a little bit messy, and she can't get out of bed, so she can't bother to do her makeup. No, this girl's living her best life. They don't connect yet. I'm already 80 pages in, so those are my thoughts. Oh, she annoys me so much, our main character. Alrighty, I finished Passion Project today, and I rated this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and that's, I think, being generous. The first half of this book, I was so annoyed with our main character. She was just so insufferably annoying. She pushed people away and she blamed it all on grief and anxiety, which is a completely valid feeling and experience, and she's been dealing with this for years. But then when people would come at her and be like, hey, you're kind of being mean and a to us, she was shocked. Like, what do you mean? And then she'd be like, nobody likes me. And it just felt like she didn't deserve the people in her life after a while. They forgave her and forgave her and forgave her and gave her so many chances and called her out so many times about the fact that she was being a horrible friend, you know, and explaining like, we understand what you're going through, but you need to be a better person. So that was really hard. But the plot and the idea of this story of two characters trying to figure out a passion and ending up falling in love through it, I think is so cute. So that's why I rated it a 3.5, because the ending kind of got me. I realized that things were turning around at page 140. Remember when I said I was going to DNF it at page 150 if it wasn't picking up? It turned around at 140. So I think that just goes to show that I'm glad I gave it a chance. Will I reread this? Probably not, but I'm going to keep it as my little trophy because it's cute. I also used to live in New York, and so reading about all of these places that I've been to was very nostalgic for me, so I think that added to my 0.5 additional rating. Otherwise, it would have easily been like a 2.5, 3-star. And for a first novel, honestly, the author did really great. The writing is well thought out, and it flows nicely. Our main character is just insufferable. So now I think I'm going to pick up Silver Elite by Dani Francis, just because this is the last book of the month book that I have purchased. It was not gifted to me, or I didn't buy it from a secondhand bookstore, etc. This is a chonker of a book at 512 pages. So I really hope that this is redeeming for me after my last book of the month book. Really quickly, I did go to the library because I had a DVD on hold, and while I was there, I went to the buyback section and I broke a rule already. I bought a book. I got The Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tommy Adeyemi, which means that I have to get rid of a book now. To my friends who recommended this is for you. I don't want to get rid of most of these because they're part of like my collection, but some of these books I will not ever read again, or I'm just holding on to them for shelf. Like, they look pretty on the shelf. Before I filmed this little segment, I was going over what I thought I might want to get rid of, and I'm down to a couple. I am down to Chains, and the reason I want to get rid of Chains is because it has a bunch of writing from like a 4th grader in it, and I don't know, if I'm gonna have that book, eventually I'm gonna want it unedited by a 4th grader. I do have 2 copies of Pride and Prejudice. One is the Penguin Classics copy, and then one is the Barnes & Noble like leather bound. Of course I would keep the leather bound copy because that's the beautiful copy, and why would I get rid of that? This is the Pride and Prejudice. I liked the idea of having it so I can annotate it one day because I liked the book when I first read it. It's not like Little Women when I annotated that because I absolutely adore that book. It's not the same vibe, so maybe I get rid of this. I think we're gonna get rid of this one. I bought it for $1, so I'm not too upset. Okay, everybody say goodbye to Chains. I will be getting this book again because this is a really good book. If you have not read this book, if you did not have to read this for school, this is a really great book. I loved this in middle school. I think I had to read it in 6th grade. I did not have to annotate my copy of the book, but I had to write plenty of papers on it. I'm gonna go donate this to My Little Library because my library is not gonna take it, not with all these annotations. Even though this is where I bought it from my public library, but I'm not gonna do that to them. So late. I am coming on here just to quickly say that I finished Silver Elite by Dani Francis. I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars because it was good. However, it really feels just like dystopian Fourth Wing. There are so many parallels, plot parallels, arc parallels. It's an enemies to lovers. Our main character gets pulled into a position that she doesn't want to be in because of a family member, and she ends up falling in love with like the lead guy in her group. She becomes really close friends with everybody in her team, and a bunch of them die. I genuinely, as I was reading this, was like, this is great, but I've already read this book. The only thing is, it's instead of everybody having magic, some people have these powers that were developed centuries ago due to a radiation exposure, and those people are called modifiers. People who are not modifiers are trying to exterminate all modifiers. Of course, our main character has like one of the worst powers a modifier could have. Oh my god, it's like Violet. So I was like, I've read this already. But I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars because it was good. I was very intrigued the whole time. I mean, listen, I loved Fourth Wing. I absolutely ate that book up. So I'm not mad at this, but I will just say it felt very much like a copy. So now we gotta pick out our next book, and I have 2 options that I'm choosing from right now because these are my last 2 book of the month books before my box arrives, which could be tomorrow, could be Monday, we don't know. But I have A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen and These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I started this one a while ago and just couldn't get into it. I just wasn't feeling it, and I'm worried that that is preventing me from picking it up again. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. This gives me the same vibes of the book I just read. You have your chosen one. She's special for a reason. She falls in love with the enemy. There's something political that she joins or participates in or is up against. Who knows? I'm not feeling like either of these books. Can you tell I'm tired? I'm so tired. Good night. I will see you guys later. So I started A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. Right now, it's not my favorite thing that I've been reading lately. I'm only on page 35, but it just hasn't really grabbed my attention in the way that I was hoping it would. But I'm gonna pause really quickly because my book of the month arrived. Ooh, a pink book of the month bookmark. I like this. So I ordered The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This is a thriller, I believe. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not the biggest into thriller mysteries. I prefer just plain mysteries because I do get scared very easily. If I read scary things at night, I can't go to bed. So this might not be a nighttime read. This is also so much smaller than the book of the month books that I've been reading recently, stopping at 328 pages. And then let me quickly go get the mystery book that I bought today. Also, the book I will be getting rid of is the blech copy of Pride and Prejudice because I already have a copy and it's beautiful. It's this blue one. It's gorgeous. So we don't need a secondary copy. So this will be donated to a My Little Library. I have already unwrapped it because Allie and I got our books together at the same thrift store. This was at a cute vintage thrift store and they came with some really cute stickers. Decided to put these in my journal. Some tea. It came with a little chocolate, like Ghirardelli chocolate square, which I already ate mine for dessert from my lunch. And this, which I think is beautiful, and I want to put this in my junk journal somehow because I just think it's so fun. But this is what the book was wrapped in. And of course, the book I got was Big Little Lies. I have not seen, is it a movie or a TV show? I don't know. It was adapted. I have not seen that. I have not read this. So I'm quite excited about it. It also had a cute little Alice in Wonderland bookmark. Alrighty, my friends. So I do think this is where we are going to end this week's video. If you liked what you saw, please show it some love by giving it a thumbs up or hitting that subscribe button down below. And as always, please remember to take care of yourselves and be kind to one another. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!